Hello board game brothers and sisters, and welcome to another episode where I'll be letting you know of Kickstarters launching this week. Just like every other week, I have a couple awesome giveaways for you to win, and the first one is for Machina, Arcana. And this is a cooperative horror adventure that takes place in a steampunk universe where you and your friends are going to be going up against the horrors and monsters, some even from the H.P. Lovecraft universe. This game offers one-shot scenarios and a gripping story that you can experience through the campaign mode. This is the third edition of the game, and with all their previous stocks sold out, there's been a lot of demand for a reprint. So they took this as an opportunity to take feedback from their players and improve the game even more. And I really love what they're doing here because they're offering the tutorial guidebook, the player aids, and the updated manual all online for existing backers. So if they want that, they can download it all for free. I also really love seeing that they're listening to feedback, and rather than just reprinting the game as is, they're taking that feedback and making improvements. They also provided a changelog that you can check out to see all the differences from the second edition. And this giveaway is for the core game pledge, and to enter all you have to do is leave a comment down below and let us know what your favorite monster of all time is. For me, it would definitely be the 𝗚𝗺𝗟 from the Heavy Metal movie. It doesn't really do anything other than occasionally melting people, but wherever it goes, it causes this essence of evil that causes some really messed up and interesting situations. If you want to find out more about this game or to just show these guys some love for being awesome and donating to the channel, definitely check out the link to their campaign in the pinned comment below. And the next giveaway we have is 𝗚𝗺𝗍 𝗟𝗶𝗟𝗀. And this is another cooperative game that is not only an expansion to the original 𝗚𝗺𝗍 game, but is also a standalone game of its own. And in this game, players are going to be working together to try and fight off monsters in order to defend their camp and keep their fire alive. Each round you're going to pick an adventurer to rest and take camp actions, while all those adventurers on the watch try to clear a line of monsters. This version adds a whole new merchant board and allows you to gain coins so that you can buy items from the merchant and gain some really powerful abilities to help you defend the camp. And this giveaway is for the Rookie Adventurer pledge that includes 𝗠words_of_a_coin, all unlock stretch goals, and 𝗚𝗺𝗍 the Deluxe Edition. And all you have to do to enter this contest is let us know what creature you hope to avoid whenever you go camping. And for me here in Canada, that's easily the moose. They're absolutely terrifying. They're about the closest thing to a monster that you can get. Either that or the raccoons and mice, because they steal my food. I'm not sure which is worse. And I just want to say that both of these games have had a lot of excitement around them from the community, and they've also been getting some really glowing reviews, so I'm going to be taking a closer look at these myself, and I definitely recommend you check them out as well. Now I'm going to draw some winners for last week's contests, and the first one I'm going to draw for is Bots Up, which is a party game for 2 to 5 players where you're going to be putting together a battle bot and competing against your friends. And to draw a winner, I use this fancy application here, and to enter the contest, I had asked viewers to let me know if they could have any robot fight for them in the ring, who would they choose? And all these extra names down here are bonus entries to my Patreon subscribers. If you like what I'm doing here, definitely check out my Patreon because it's really the best way to support the channel. Let's go ahead and grab those comments and draw a winner. And the winner is Asteria of the Stars. And this is actually one of my Patreon subscribers, so congratulations, and I will reach out to you to let you know that you won yourself a copy of Bots Up. And the next giveaway we have is for an abstract strategy game called Soul Givers, and this plays 2 players, and in this game players are taking on the roles of different alien races, and these races are facing against something known as the Decay. And to win the game you need to get the cure from the center of the board before your opponent and bring it back to your home world. This game has some really nice artwork and magnetic components as well. And let's draw a winner. And to enter this contest I'd ask viewers to let me know if they could have any alien race on their side, who would they pick? And the winner is Little Miss Spock. And she says I would want the Klingons on my side. And that's a great choice. I definitely wouldn't want them on my bad side. So congratulations, Little Miss Spock. Just email me at adam@shelfclutter.com and we'll get this pledge all sorted out for you. And the next giveaway we have is for 𝗚𝗺𝗍𝗀𝗀, which is a new game by Renegade Games. And this is competitive, where players are thrown back into the 1850s during the gold rush, where people actually abandon their ships to go search for gold. And in this game, players are going to be repurposing those ships to build their foothold in the new city. And let's go ahead and draw that winner. And I'd ask viewers to let me know if they would prefer to stay on the shore with their ship or go search for gold with everyone else. And our winner is Tim Woodhams, and he says he's got to stay with the ship. What's he going to do with all that gold? Buy a ship? I like your style, and I'd do the same, and now you got yourself a really great board game to play on that ship. So just email me at adam@shelfclutter.com and we'll get that pledge all sorted out. And the last giveaway we had was for Automated Alice, and this is another cooperative game. And in this game, Alice finds herself back in Wonderland, but there's been a string of murders, and now she is the prime suspect. Players are going to be using dice placement to try and clear Alice's name, along with all the other innocent characters throughout the game. You'll also be able to visit these different characters and use their abilities to help aid you along the way. Different events are going to progress time, so players are going to have to clear everyone's name before the time runs out. And let's go ahead and draw a winner. And I had asked viewers to let us know who their favorite character is in Alice in Wonderland. And our winner is Joseph Senko. And he says the Dormouse. The dude drinks all day, hangs out in a teacup with no worries, and chimes in with ridiculous statements. What a life. If only we could all live like that. It's really awesome that these publishers are donating pledges to the channel, so definitely check out their campaigns in the pinned comment below. With all that out of the way, let's check out the Kickstarters. The first game we have releases on September 28th, and it's called Perilous Paths, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 15 to 30 minutes to play. This game was designed with children players in mind. And in this game, players are going to be competing against each other to reach the finish line. On your turn, you're going to draw a card that's going to tell you how far you can move, and it's going to be up to you to decide which paths you take to reach the end. Some cards may force you along a path, while others will allow you to move other players' pawns. And the next game releases on the 28th, and it's called Bistro Flip, and this plays 3 to 6 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And in this game, players are going to be drafting different ingredient cards trying to make the best meal for the diner. One player is going to be acting as the diner, and they get to decide when the preparations must stop. All other players will present their meals, but their dish is not done yet because you'll be flipping one more ingredient card to add to the dish. The diner player will decide which dish gets the points. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins the game. And the next game releases on the 29th, and it's called Plunderous, and this plays 2 to 6 players and takes about 120 to 360 minutes to play. And in this game, players are privateers in an alternate steampunk world sailing the seas of the New Caribbean for wealth and fame. You might even find yourself up against some mechanized sea monsters. This game plays over 6 rounds, and each round consists of 3 phases. There's first the command phase. In this phase, you'll be hiring crew and then playing those crew one at a time for any of their multi-use abilities. You'll be able to call in your crew to acquire and manage resources that you'll need for conquering. The next phase is the conquer phase, where you move your ship and mechs to perform various 4X actions like exploring islands, exploiting your resources, expanding your presence, or exterminating other powerful mechs. Each successful action gains you loyalists for victory points at the end of the game. And the final phase is the muster phase, and this is where market rates and supplies are revealed, and you'll be assembling your crew for the next round. This game incorporates mechanisms like area majority, area movement, card drafting, dice rolling, hand management, a modular board, and voting. The player with the most loyalists at the end of the game wins the game. And the next campaign also launches on the 29th, and it's called 30 Seconds to Live, and this plays 2 players and takes about 15 to 35 minutes to play. And this is a game that's designed to play quickly and doesn't require a whole lot of components or an entire evening to play. One player plays as the hero, and one player plays as the zombie horde. The hero finds himself forced down an alley full of zombie hordes. It's up to that player to find whatever items and to use whatever abilities they have in order to take out those zombies or rush past them. This player wins if they can escape the alley to their freedom. And then the zombie player is going to be using their 5 different zombies with their zombie abilities to try and take that hero player out for dinner. To make this game just a little more nail-biting, each player needs to stop their turn after 30 seconds, even if they have more actions to play. This game uses mechanisms like action points, take that, variable player powers, and worker placement. Also on the 29th, we have Gunshi, the Art of Strategy, and this plays 2 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And this is an abstract strategy game that plays similar to chess or shogi, but there's some interesting changes here that make it look like a lot more fun. At the start of the game, players are going to be able to place their soldiers anywhere on the board, placing 1 soldier at a time and alternating turns. There's 3 types of soldiers, and you're not going to be able to move them however you want. Instead, you're going to have to move them according to the cards that you received on your previous turn. And the rule that I thought was very interesting is that any pieces connected adjacently to the piece you're moving can also move in the same way. You'll then each be selecting one of your pieces as the shogun, which is your defining piece for either winning or losing. The player who first takes out their opponent's shogun wins the game. And the next campaign, also launching on the 29th, is Fantastic Factories Manufactions. And this is actually an expansion to the core game Fantastic Factories, which plays 1 to 5 players and takes about 45 to 60 minutes to play. And if you're not familiar with Fantastic Factories, it's a really tight engine building and dice placement game, and this expansion is going to add blueprints and contractors to the ones you already have in your core game. This also adds some new content to the game, like the 12 corporate factions, where each player will be assigned one at the start of the game, and it will grant them a unique ability and some specific starting resources. This also adds the new vitamin resource, which players will be able to gain and spend as another way to manipulate their dice. This campaign is also going to add a second expansion called the Subterfuge expansion, because what's a company without a little deceit? And this is also going to add some new blueprints and contractor cards, but it also introduces the new sabotage tokens, which you'll be able to assign to opponent factories in order to temporarily disable their abilities. This is a game I own, and if you haven't tried it, I definitely recommend it. And the cool thing about this campaign is that they're going to be offering both Tabletop Simulator and a print and play download, all for free, that you can try for yourself and see if it's a game for you. And the next campaign, launching on the 29th, is called NEXUS, and this plays 2 players and takes about 15 to 45 minutes to play. And this one's going to be my pick of the week. And if you like skirmish games, you'll definitely want to check this one out, because it looks like it has a few interesting differences from other skirmish games I've seen. And it also comes with some really nice oversized miniatures. And I really do like the different sculpts that they went with here, both for the terrain and the characters. I like to see sculpts that have some fun details and interesting poses, and these ones definitely have that. And something that I thought was really interesting about this skirmish game is that it has story-driven combat. I'm not sure how in-depth of a narrative this game will provide, but it sounds like all the different events and cards that get played will introduce a little bit of narrative that will create a story individual to each game. And in this game, each player is a Lannister controlling their own team of gladiators. Each Lannister is going to be a little different from the other, with varying command, influence, and deception. Command will give your lead gladiator some extra abilities, and deception will allow you to force your opponent to make some bad decisions, and influence will give you access to bribes and other nefarious deeds. Each player is then going to choose their own lead gladiator, which is called a Helot, and Helots are mindless genetic freaks that are loyal to your instruction and have some unique strengths and abilities. Next, you're going to set up the board, which I forgot to mention takes place on a poorly maintained space barge. And each of these barges is going to come equipped with its own hazards and obstacles to get in the way of the players, and also some really nice loot crates to give you some extra weapons. Next, each player picks some influence cards, which gives them some edge in the fight, and this represents some perfectly legitimate business arrangements that may have been coordinated before the fight. Next, we get to the fighting, where you'll be spending your command points to instruct your gladiators. They may not always listen to you, but they'll do their best. The last player standing wins the fight, but as a Lannister, you're more interested in fame and fortune. So you're going to be building credibility throughout the game, and the player with the most credibility wins the game. This game incorporates mechanisms like action points, betting and bluffing, dice rolling, grid movement, paper and pencil, role-playing, and variable player powers. Definitely check this one out, because I think I'm just scratching the surface with this one, because it also seems to have some RPG and legacy elements as well. And the next campaign, also launching on the 29th, is called Treacherous, and this is an expansion for the game Windward by 𝗚𝗺𝗲 𝗟𝗻s. And this game plays 1 to 5 players and takes about 30 to 90 minutes to play. In Windward, each player is a captain of a flying ship sailing the skies of a gaseous planet, fighting each other and monsters for valuable resources and notoriety. And this expansion is going to add a few new elements to the game, including third elevation scouts, which is a new scout added to your fleet, which allows you to transfer resources to your ship to stay sailing longer, and also allows you to go hunting for treasure. The expansion also introduces some new board-altering events like shipwrecks, storms, and raging monsters. There's also a new pirate-style asymmetric faction that's going to allow you to raid opponent ships and hunt for treasure. This also introduces new black market contracts, which you can buy from a second trading post using the new treasure currency, and you'll be able to complete these mini-quests as a completely new path to victory. And if you missed out on the first campaign, don't worry, because you can actually get the Kickstarter exclusive Collector's Edition, which comes with the base game, the expansion, a plastic organizer tray system, as well as all unlocked stretch goals from this and the previous campaign. And if you like really nice miniatures, you'll definitely want to check out this next campaign launching on the 29th, and it's called Rise of Obliterarium. And this is going to include a ton of resin miniatures for gaming, painting, and collecting. These miniatures are going to be divided into 4 different clans, which you can buy individually or as a bundle, and expect a lot more to be added through the stretch goals. These minis look really nice and have a lot of intricacies and detail to them, which should come out really well with the larger scale minis that they're going with. Each clan also comes with its own demigod miniature, which is a special character sculpted at over 140 millimeters. Next, we have Big Monster, and this plays 2 to 6 players and takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play, and this is also releasing on the 29th. And in this game, you're a space explorer who is traveling through space to identify new creatures, discover rare resources, and fulfill intergalactic missions. This is a tile-laying game that plays over 2 rounds and uses a concept called smart drafting. On a player's turn, they'll be able to draft and play a tile from their hand, and then pass those remaining tiles to a player of their choice. At the end of the game, each player is going to own 18 tiles in their exploration space, and you earn victory points by finding monsters, completing crystals, and achieving missions. The player with the most victory points wins the game. This can also be played in teams, where the player on each team with the lowest score is the score of the team. This game uses mechanisms like card drafting, set collection, simultaneous action selection, and variable player powers. To remain honest, unbiased, and to offer the best content back to you, I offer all this coverage free for publishers, so if you want to help make this a little bit more sustainable for me, definitely check out my website because I have a whole page there dedicated to different ways that you can give back to the channel if you're interested to help. I even list a few free ways that you can get involved. And if you'd like to help out the channel but still get something nice for yourself, definitely check out KickstarterGames.com because a small portion of any sales made there will come back to help this channel. KickstarterGames.com offers a lot of great games that you can go ahead and buy for yourself, and if you check back frequently, you'll even see that they occasionally upload some Kickstarter versions of the games. And if you're interested in getting rid of any games from your collection, they even buy games as well, so definitely check that out if that's something you're planning to do. And it doesn't hurt to sign up to their newsletter as well because they give away a game each month, and this month you can get yourself a free copy of 𝗚𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗃. And the next campaign, also launching on the 29th, is called Airships Northpole Quest. And this plays 1 to 6 players and takes about 60 to 180 minutes to play. And this game takes you back to 1924 during the golden age of airships, where nations began to set their sights on the Arctic for their next frontier. Players are going to put together a crew of specialists that are going to help fly and guide the ship, as well as help with building publicity and fundraising. Players are going to encounter different weather and obstacles during their expedition, which could cost them time and money as they need to stop to repair their ship. The first player to get to the North Pole and then return safely wins the game. Also on the 29th, we have another expansion, and this one's for Thunderstone Quest, and it's called The Enemies Among Us. And this is going to include 2 new quests for the award-winning deck builder Thunderstone Quest, and this is going to include vampires, scions, and the epic return of the 𝗚𝗺𝗃 𝗟𝗃, which I'm probably saying wrong. And if you haven't played Thunderstone Quest, it's a deck building dungeon crawler where you're trying to complete a quest to win the game. And the next campaign launches on the 30th, and it's called Quin, and this plays 2 players and takes about 15 to 45 minutes to play. And Quin is an abstract strategy game that takes place in the sci-fi quantum realm, and each player is going to be controlling different particles on their side of the board, each with their own distinct speed, powers, and capture abilities. The goal of Quin is to reach the center of the board or capture your opponent's light. This game does incorporate memory and deception, as each of your pieces is always facing away from your opponent, so they don't know exactly which piece is where. You can use this to your advantage by swapping and moving your pieces around the board to try and keep your opponent guessing while you formulate your strategy. This game features a magnetic board that resembles a grid warped by a black hole, and the pawns also feature interchangeable faces so you can customize your abilities. At the center of the board, there's a neutral zone, and when your pieces enter that area, they lose their special powers. It's only 5 moves to the center of the board, but you're going to run into a lot of challenges along the way, so it's up to you to be clever and outsmart your opponent. And the next campaign also launches on the 30th, and it's called Apogee, and this plays 1 to 5 players and takes about 45 to 60 minutes to play. And in this game, space travel is becoming more privatized, and each player is going to be acting as a CEO, recruiting engineers and developing technologies to create the best rockets for their company. Apogee offers 9 different missions, which each have their own story and difficulty and introduce different mechanisms to the game. Once a mission selected, the game plays over 3 different phases: the planning phase, the launch phase, and the administration phase. In the planning phase, you're going to make use of your engineers to develop technologies and build different stages of your spacecraft. The launch phase is where you get to test out your rocket, and both the weather and the distance you're trying to achieve are going to affect the difficulty of this phase. And the administration phase represents the end of a quarter where you receive your budget for the next quarter, and you can also sell outdated technologies and spend that money to hire new engineers or develop new technologies. And you can also use your influence to create trouble for your opponents. The first player to complete the mission wins the game. And the next campaign launches on October 1st, and it's called Silly Shapes, and this plays 2 to 8 players and takes about 10 to 25 minutes to play. And this is a family weight game where each player is going to be dealt 8 cards, and the goal of the game is to get rid of your cards first, and if you do that, you win the game. Each card is going to have a number, shape, and color to it, and you can play a card on your turn if it matches any of those on the last card that was played. Each card is also going to have the start of a sentence at the bottom of the card and the end of a sentence at the top of a card. And when you play one of your cards, you have to read the starter sentence from the previous card with the ending sentence on your card. This will create silly sentences for your family's amusement. There's also the occasional action card that can appear, and these trigger things like rock, paper, scissors, or number guessing games that can cause you or your opponents to pick up more cards. Picking up cards is always dangerous because there's game over cards that can eliminate you from the game unless you have a diffuser card to cancel it. And the last game I have for you also launches on the 1st, and it's called In Jurassica. And this plays 1 to 6 players and takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play. And in this game, players are trapped on an island dinosaur resort where the dinosaurs have escaped and are causing havoc across the island. Players are going to be scavenging for supplies and building improvised weapons to fight off hungry dinos. The goal of the game is to restore power to the island by finding 3 power switch cards in the Explore deck. If you receive too many dino cards, you won't be able to advance any further through the Explore deck, and you'll have to build weapons to fight off those dinos. There's also helpful one-time use cards to help you along the way. First player to turn on the power wins the game. I release these videos each week, and I also release the list on Reddit, so if you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.